here we are, the end of the DMC marathon in quotation marks, because I mean there was a Metroid Prime video that came out completely out of left field, I'm sorry for that one, and a small filler video in order to have time to finish this video. But we are finally here with Devil May Cry 5, and oh my god, what a game! My entire reason for even doing this marathon in the first place was because I played DMC5 one long summer ago and wanted to try out the rest of the series. So now that I am here, it is time to see how my stances on the game have changed after having so much experience with the rest of the series. If you want the summary of my opinions up to now, DMC1 was good but outdated, DMC2 was outdated 3 months before it even came out, DMC3 was great and when the series finally adopted its modern form of gameplay, DMC4 was good but not great, and DMC Devil May Cry is the underrated game that actually does many things better than its predecessors. It's been a while since I even played DMC5 completely, so after playing all these games I was curious to see how my opinions of the game have changed. So after playing the game in New Game Plus to see the game at its full potential, how are my stances on the game? But were you expecting any different? No, sir! The story goes as follows. Dante needs to pay his rent, and because of that takes up a big job in which he needs to defeat a demon who recently reawakened and is also responsible for making Nero crippled. I mean, bro got thrown around like a doll and then got his arm removed like a Lego. Me, personally? The demon causes chaos and then the DMC crew goes all the way up the tree to defeat the demon, but they fail miserably, and Nero and newcomer B have to make a retreat to get stronger to defeat the demon, which is called Urizen. That's basically the story for the first 10 or so missions until they make their way up the tree again and Dante comes back into the story, because while Lady and Trish were captured, Dante was taking a nap. He was sleeping for a month, what the hell? Dante comes back and then decides to just kill himself, now! And beat Urizen while he's at it, who then goes to the bottom of the tree after we climbed all the way up? Then you go down and finally beat him, but then B comes in. And earlier it's basically revealed that B is really one half of Vergil with Urizen being the other. And then they combine once again and have one of the rawest intros in the history of video games ever. You can't tell me that anyone with the title The Alpha and the Omega is not raw as hell. Vergil appears, leaps to the top of the tree, and then it is revealed that Nero is Vergil's son, which was very obvious if you played DMC4, but whatever. One climbing session later and Dante and Vergil start throwing hands like they always do, but Nero regrows his arm just in time to stop them and then beats the shit out of both of them. Then they go to hell and close off the portal between the human and demon worlds until the next game comes out in the year 2029. Is Nero's arm like a plant? I know I summarized the story in the worst way possible and I made some jokes here and there. Well, actually I really like the story. It's simple, but it gets to the point and tells his story very well. I actually ended up caring for Nero way more than I did during 4, and Vergil surprisingly grew a lot as a character, realizing his past mistakes while he was separated into 2. Nero is a much more interesting character in 5, and 4 he just really felt like for half of the game, he was just kind of there because of contractual obligations, and in the latter half of the game, he was there because mi pancito bimbo! The characters in the game are just absolutely wonderful, and I know I say that for every game, but really, the personality in the DMC games are like half the charm. The game is just really funny when it wants to be. So many moments I was just chuckling and having the stupidest grin because it was all really charming. I feel like any argument otherwise is cancelled out by Dante dancing like Michael Jackson, and honestly, I would not have it any other way. The game also looks beautiful. It uses the Resident Evil engine. I mean, I think it's the Resident Evil engine, because I don't know a lot of things that have this for an acronym. I'm gonna keep the graphics talk short. I think the animations are great, the graphics perfectly fit the series. It's all just very good as a whole. The gameplay is a huge improvement from literally everything else in the series. They decided to change the ways in which the levels were structured. In the DMC1, 3, and 4, the levels were all interconnected and had you explore back and forth the areas, which was nice but could get annoying and tiresome in some other cases. Now in DMC5, most of the stages take place in completely disconnected areas and have the stages be more linear than ever before. Now I know that some people may be disappointed by the change in structure, but really I think it works very well. The disconnected structure allows the game to take liberties in how to tell the story. It can jump back and forth through flashbacks, do levels inside of the flashbacks, and overall makes the story structure more flexible. The only thing that does feel lesser in the levels is that the levels oftentimes feel way more basic than the prior games. While it's not bad, the stages do feel like they have less things going on inside of them, and they don't have a lot to compensate that, and as a result, it can just feel like the levels are just break sessions between the meat of the game. The game is divided into 3 characters, Nero and V, and later into the story you get to play as Dante. First of all, praise the heavens, they actually switched the characters throughout the story. I was so disappointed in DMC4 when I realized that the game didn't switch perspectives between Nero and Dante until Nero starts sleeping halfway through the game. But in this game, you will play so much as Nero, then switch back to V, and back to Nero, but then you switch Dante, and it just keeps the characters fresh. Although, even if that wasn't the case, there's a very high chance that I wouldn't even care that much right now, because honestly, the characters are just fun as hell! Nero is essentially the same from his DMC4 appearance if we exclude the detachable arm. Now in this game he features Devil Breakers, which are different types of mechanical weapons made by his good friend Nicoletta Goldstein, which oddly enough is the daughter of one of the bosses of 4? Fun fact, I guess? Apart from that, he's essentially the same. Exceed is back, his combo game is very similar, although greatly expanded. It's really the Devil Breakers that change up the game and make Nero's gameplay much more diverse as a result. My greatest complaint with Nero in the last game was that the gameplay could get stale after a while because there's no added mechanics to the game after you unlock the basic combos, and the progression flatlines because of it. The Devil Breakers add variety because they're constantly adding new mechanics and different attacks to the game, and they also have some interesting strategy behind of them. They are a limited resource and the game will punish you for playing poorly by destroying the Devil Breakers should you get hit while using them, or alternatively you could unleash an ultimate attack which leads to the tank blowing up, or simply pressing a button to destroy them. It all depends, but you gotta be strategic when using them, or play the game well. The only problem I had is that in the New Game Plus I accidentally kept blowing up the Devil Breakers because to activate Devil Trigger you press a button on the D-pad, while for the other characters it's the R1 button, which for Nero is the button that destroys the Devil Breakers, and I know I can customize the controls, but honestly I just got used to it eventually. Speaking of which, Nero in New Game Plus regains his lost abilities from 4 while keeping the normal abilities that he already gained in 5, which simply adds another layer of fun to Nero's gameplay. I genuinely love Nero's gameplay so much in this game. It's simple, but it's still as fun as Dante, and it's just whew, it's very fun to mess around with. Also, Devil Trigger is a bad. The other character during the early parts of the game that you will play as is V, a weird character with an even more bizarre playstyle. V can barely walk straight with a cane to help him, so he's very much not able to swing shit around like the other members of the family, so instead he uses bosses from the first DMC game to help him fight these demons. Now hit YouTuber Maxor couldn't have put it any better. You tell this guy and this guy to kill things for you, and when the time comes, read. He can also summon Nightmare and basically win the game, generally doing nothing while already doing close to nothing. I will say that the idea of V is very interesting, but I feel like the execution comes short in a couple of ways. I feel like the delay between the inputs and V's pets actually doing anything that they're supposed to do is pretty significant and feels very off, so as a result it's not that good to pull off compared to other character combos. It just feels like if they had made the delay slightly less severe, then I probably would have been more interested in his gameplay, but with the delay it kind of feels like I'm doing whatever with him for a bit and then summon the Devil Trigger and win automatically. I don't think that B is a bad character necessarily, but definitely a character that just isn't for me. If there was an option to play between Dante, Nero, and V, chances are I'll probably pick Dante 7 out of 10 times, Nero 2 out of 10 times, and V 1 out of 10 times. I will say, however, Crimson Cloud is a banger. The final character from the main campaign is the man of the hour, Dante the legendary Devil Hunter. Dante is the best character out of the main 3. Dante was already one of the best action game characters in DMC4, but in DMC5 he is that on steroids. He has 4 different weapons and guns, all his styles and style switching as well, and subhuman. Dante is incredibly fun. Every one of his weapons are so so damn fun. Kick and switch to the fist, or maybe use the nunchucks to have ice fire and electric attacks, use one of the two incredibly fun swords, or just straight up use a motorcycle. Call me crazy frog in this bitch. I use all the styles at nearly every moment I could, and they're all incredibly well designed. I love Royal Guard in this game so much. The sound it makes when you block something is nice. The different attacks of Gunslinger and Swordmaster are neat. And surprisingly enough, I didn't use Trickster as much as I used to, but it was still very fun whenever I could use it. Using Dante was a delight in every way, shape, and form, and it only becomes better when fighting these enemies. The enemies are the most fun that they have ever been. Basically, all of them were fun to fight, and with the new mechanics it becomes even better. And the bosses, dude, the bosses were all constantly a delight. They were challenging but fun. It felt like an actual battle between you and a more powerful enemy. The only boss that I didn't really like was that weird guy you fight as V, but honestly, with all the other bosses in this game, I feel like that is barely an inconvenience. Now, while I haven't been playing it consistently, and I don't really pay attention to the other character campaigns, I have been playing Vergil's campaign as well, and what can I say other than the fact that Vergil is simply one of the most fun characters ever? He just looks cool, and no matter the situation, he is incredibly OP, but really, what else do you need in your life? Also very delight. The MC5 is a masterpiece. There are so many things that the game does well that the few things that it does wrong are so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. They don't matter. Everything the other games did well, this game does 10 times better and more. I have no idea how Capcom could even hope to surpass the bar that the MC5 set. But what I do know is that even if they don't do that, well, I can always hope for the music to go unbelievably hard. I cannot believe I actually finished this marathon. Honestly, it was pretty fun playing these games. For the most part, but I will not be doing that often, probably. Well, hey, that's all that I had to say about this game. I'm just a random stranger you met on the internet. But hey, just call me Pseudo.